Welcome to Eurofins Viracor Clinical Diagnostics Podcast, where I'll be sharing up-to-date scientific advances, key diagnostic testing, and our most recent innovations. Enjoy this podcast recorded live at the Tandem Meetings 2026 in Salt Lake City, Utah.
Good afternoon and welcome to Tandem 2026. My name is Kevin Foth. I'm the moderator for Transplant Radio. We've got an esteemed guest with us, Meredith Cowden with the Meredith Cowden Foundation. Primary goal is fundraising for blood cancers and GvHD awareness. Meredith is the executive director. Has been for about 5 years now, I understand, but the foundation's really been around a bit longer than that. So I'll let you introduce yourself, Meredith, and kind of give us then an idea about the foundation and really what your overarching goals are, kind of where you are today and where you'd like to be tomorrow.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Glad to have you.
An awesome opportunity. So, yes, I am Meredith Cowden of the Meredith Cowden Foundation, which is a little awkward for me, especially as the executive director, because that feels a little arrogant to say that. And so it's been around for a while. It's been around since 2007. I was diagnosed with AML in 2001, and then I developed acute graft-versus-host disease shortly thereafter, and then I developed chronic graft-versus-host disease. And so I've been living with chronic GvHD for about 25 years now. And so there was one particular time when I was having a very severe manifestation of it that the doctors really struggled with. And we could not, my family and I could not find information to help me learn how to live well with it. And so then my dad decided, let's do something to help other people get the support and information that we didn't. And so he started the Meredith Cowden Foundation. And so, what we do is we try to provide as much support and education as we can to both patients and providers. And so we have a symposium annually that's about GvHD. And one of the things in my life that I do in addition to this is I'm a mental health therapist. And so I love talking and I love connections and I love people. And I think that, there are so many great conversations that can happen outside of the clinic setting. And you can learn so much that way. And So what we did with the symposium is we brought together healthcare professionals and patients and caregivers and put them in the same space so that they can talk about the things that they might not be comfortable or have the time to talk about while they're in the doctor's office with each other.
And that's really important, because you go to conferences like this where it's 100% participation is the physician side of it.
Right.
Or, the various aspects of the healthcare industry.
Right, exactly.
Then you do have, a few splinter support groups like that of the true patients. And being able to merge those two together, I think, eye-opening for both sides.
Yeah. And, it's wonderful.
Especially, you hear a lot of patients, and I know I've said it myself with some issues I've had, I don't feel like I'm being heard.
Right.
When I'm talking to the doctor.
That is something that I hear far too often, and I think something that I myself have struggled with too. And it's you have such a limited amount of time, and there's so much that's on their to-do list of what they want to get through for you that your voice gets lost. And not to mention, white coat syndrome is really real.
Yes.
And so, and it doesn't go away until you're home and feeling safe and you're regulated again. And then you come up with oh, what about this? I didn't ask that question. They didn't tell me this. And so your voice gets lost.
Right.
And so it's really, really valuable to try to, to create those conversations in a space that it can create meaning and make some change.
Yeah, one thing that makes me laugh when you say that is I was taught early on, or somebody told me early on, you think about a question, write it down.
Yes.
Think about the next question, you write it down. Well, then when you go in and see your practitioner, and they're like, do you have anything else? You pull out the notebook, and their face just kind of goes blank.
It does, yeah.
They're like, they're prepared.
It's true. It's so true. That happened to me one time. The doctor was actually on her way out the door, and she's like, anything else? And I was like, actually, yes, I do. And she's like, oh, okay. So it's definitely, and I think that's a good point. It becomes an afterthought, right? Of what's your experience? Right. What do you need? What's your goal here? And I think that it needs to be moved up and become more of the forefront of the conversation.
Yeah. And I think, we have seen a change in that with, almost every hospital, every practice has a patient portal.
Right, yes.
Or like that now.
Yeah.
So you can go in and say, oh, I forgot to ask this question. You can send a quick message in, with the nurse practitioner, the nurse, or whatever, and the physician will be able to see that and get back to you and say, oh, okay, this is why maybe we changed this medication or we changed the dosage on it. And so it's, okay, I heard it, didn't process it. I just knew I needed to go get a new prescription or.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and I think there's so much that does for communication within the entire team. I'm really interested, and I'm one of the projects that the foundation and also the GvHD Alliance is working on is supporting nurse navigation programs. And so then there's that central person that patients can go to and say, oh, hey, I forgot to talk to my doctor about this, or this rash came up, or this thing is happening, I'm not sure what to do about it. And then the nurse navigator can then take that information to whichever specialist they need to and make the connection, set up the appointment so that it's easier for everybody to come together faster.
Yes.
Because especially with graft-versus-host disease, as really with anything, it's the amount of time between when you notice the symptom and when you start taking a medication really matters. And if it's too long, then there's going to be stuff that's going to be missed. And so then the disease could be more advanced pretty quickly, and then people are going to suffer a little bit more because of that. Yeah.
Well, and also, people, and I'm one of them, that kind of talks negatively about social media and such, but that's also opened up a new way of communicating, connecting.
Yeah, it is.
With people. It's like, hey, I'm having these symptoms, or this is, happened, blah, 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 blah. And it's not somebody down the street that that's going to answer. They might be all the way across the country or even in a different continent and saying, oh, I had that too. And, my doctor, da-da-da-da. And so when you go and you talk to your doctor later on, you can, talk about that, and just makes you feel, I guess, more human. More heard.
Absolutely.
And which is definitely important when you're going through something like GvHD.
Absolutely. And I think because it's a rare disease, and it's very heterogeneous. You know what I'm saying?
Heterogenic, yeah.
Thank you. And so nothing looks the same, and people are spread out.
Right.
And so it's incredibly isolating, and also it's hard to find someone who can relate. And so, when social media is able to bring people together in that way, and people can hear each other and support each other and empower each other, and I think that's something that I really, really find value in. And I think that, there are groups on social media, on Facebook and stuff, that do that really well. And also, there are things that we can do to make it even better, And so with the GvHD Alliance, what the organizations that are part of that are doing is we're really trying to create a space where patients can go, where they can connect and get support and empower each other and get the education they need so that they can advocate for themselves in their doctor's appointments.
Right.
Yeah.
And I guess kind of the main takeaway I got from what you just said is it gives the patient the feeling of, I'm not alone.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's so necessary because, if somebody is feeling alone, then they're also going to likely have more anxiety, have more depression, and not know what to do and feel stuck.
Right.
And so this way, then they can say, oh, hey, this is something that I'm experiencing. Have you also had this? Or, hey, can I just talk to you about this thing? And I think that there are really strong relationships that are built out of just having those quick online conversations. Some of the friends that I've made who have GvHD are from just really short conversations
Mm-hmm.
and we've connected so fast because of our shared experiences.
Yeah, I attended a seminar earlier today. Dr. Brooke Adams was giving a speech on chronic GvHD.
Yeah.
And phenomenal speaker, look her up. But she was talking about some of the signs and symptomology, not so much of the gut, where the disease is, but the skin and hair and different things like that, and other body parts I won't talk into because we're a PG rated show. But she's like, how many people don't want to talk to their doctor about,
right,
and or want to talk to their doctor about this, and
right.
Again, it's that sign and that symptomology is like ocular issues, eye issues, and like that. She's when people like the dry eye and such associated with GvHD, it's kind of like having that eyelash that you just can't get out of there.
Yes, it is.
And how infuriating it is, and it just bothers the heck out of the people and such. But
it does, yeah.
it's just like, again, it's not just me. This happens to other people.
Right.
I feel better, so I feel more empowered to talk to my clinician, my physician about this, and see what we can do, because a lot of that symptomology is very important. And maybe small today, but it could turn out to be huge tomorrow if you don't address it and talk about it.
Exactly. Yeah. It's interesting that you bring up the thing about the eyelash in the eye, because there was a conversation that I was part of, or I remembered that somebody asked patients who have GvHD to identify it as an animal. And so some people, like there was a woman who talked about it and she likened it to a mosquito. And was like, it's always just right there, and it's just like biting me, and I'm itchy all the time, And then somebody else identified it as a chameleon because it takes on so many different variations.
Yeah.
And somebody identified it as a cat. That they're kind of stealthy, and so it's just really interesting. And I think that speaks to like, everyone's experience is different, and also it's something that's very understandable.
Right.
We can all relate in that way. We all know what a mosquito feels like and how frustrating that is. And so then being able to have those conversations and, like you said, take that information back to their doctor and their treatment team, I think can really make the difference. One of the things that I find to be, that I keep gravitating toward is really the idea of empowering patients to be able to advocate for themselves in what it is that they need, and what are their goals, and what are their hopes and their dreams, because it's those things that are going to help motivate them to get the kind of treatment that they need so they can fulfill that dream. And so I think that if there are ways that the GvHD community can support each other and really empower each other to say, hey, this is important to me, this is what I'm dealing with, hey, this is what helped me, what if you try that? Then they can take it to their physician or their provider or whomever, and then be able to really say, this is what's happening for me, this is what I need.
Yes.
And so, let's move in that direction. And I think that it can be really tricky because there is that white coat syndrome, and because of the power dynamic that exists between a provider and a patient. It's much better than it has been historically, and also quite present. And so a lot of times people give the power to the provider because they feel like they're the expert.
Right.
And they are, of biology and science and medicine and all of that. And the patients are the experts of themselves and their experiences and their bodies and what it is that they need.
Yeah, I'd heard somebody mention in one of the talks, I've been to a lot of different talks on this, but sometimes it feels, the white coat syndrome, but like you're getting called into the principal's office.
Totally. Yes. Yeah.
You're like, okay, I've got a problem. I need to talk to you about it, but I really don't feel safe talking about it or whatever. Yeah. But you get the this group of people where you can share, hey, this is what's happening to me. Oh, it's been happening to you. Oh, I'm not the only one. It's happening to a bunch of other people. So it becomes more comfortable and easy than to talk to your practitioner about it, and definitely talk to your practitioner. Because they may have came to a conference like this. I just learned that they've got a fourth new therapeutic approved for chronic GvHD, which is phenomenal.
It is. It's really, and I think it's so hopeful. And I think that's the thing that really makes a big difference. I worked with some other folks on a poster presentation for a research study, and one of the things that we found through some interviews is that people with GvHD aren't necessarily looking at the long-term picture. They're looking at what's in front of me right now, what symptoms do I have, and how can they go away right now. Right. And so, and part of that is because they have such hope for what's coming because of research and clinical trials and everything. And so I think, having that fourth line of therapy for chronic GvHD is wonderful, and also the, PT-Psy and additional preventative measures that they're taking around GvHD. I really hope ultimately, this isn't great for my job, but I hope that GvHD goes away. You know what I mean? I think that would be wonderful, that this is one of those things that people are like, oh yeah, remember when that used to happen?
Right.
Doesn't now, and so I think that would just be the best outcome ultimately.
Yeah. And I think that's what all of us in the healthcare industry look for too, is like, this would be phenomenal if this went away, but maybe not, because we have a test for it, or we can do this, or we can do that. But the human side of it is, how can we minimize this, or at least ultimately get rid of it? Smallpox and some of the other that, and it's like, oh, remember when, and so now it's it's kind of in the history books, because you don't hear about it anymore and such. I was just looking up, the foundation, some of the things you do. One of it is to increase the number of survivors.
Yes.
And can you you talked a little bit about it, but how are you guys approaching that to get to that goal?
Yeah, so what we do is, with our symposium that we have, the GvHD symposium, is we try to bring together new clinicians, researchers, and residents, and people who are learning how to be a practitioner and a provider and a transplanter, and helping to provide the information to them so that they can then start to think about and utilize the next new innovative therapy. And so we're targeting that particular group of people in terms of the treatment and the science and all of that. And then the other side that we do is that we're trying to work with patients on really how to have a really great quality of life, because that also increases the likelihood of survivorship and of good life survivorship, because oftentimes if somebody is inclined to participate willingly in their treatment therapy, and if they trust their doctor and they have a good relationship and they're following through with the regimen, then they're ultimately going to feel better, which is then going to impact how well they recover. And so it's really, I like to look at people in a very holistic way and how each aspect influences the other. And so if we approach it in that kind of framework, then I think we can really increase survivorship. So we have the symposium, and then we also have an ambassador program kind of talking about that peer relationship.
Okay.
And so we have people who are living with GvHD who provide information about GvHD, and then also give an angle of their own experience with it. Like, for instance, and this I think is a great example of ways that we're helping to provide a little bit of hope. We have an ambassador named Brittany, and she has a lung manifestation of GvHD, and also she teaches spin classes. So she has overcome, you know what I mean? Like, she's like, you know what, this is what I want to do. That's not going to stop me. I'm going to do it. And so now, she's able to teach these classes, and she's doing her treatments in the way that she needs to, and she's living her best life. And
That's
so
great.
if we can help other people see that you don't have to be owned by the disease, and that it can be a part of you but not make up your entire life, then I think that will really move things forward in terms of survivorship. And then the other thing that we're doing is the Cowden Foundation is one of the founding members of the GvHD Alliance.
Yeah, what's the foundation name again?
The Meredith Cowden Foundation.
Okay, the Cowden.
Yeah. So I'm also at this point the executive director of the GvHD Alliance as well. And so what we're doing is, we've brought together a bunch of different organizations, nonprofits, and we've all come together to create support and empowerment and educational resources for patients. And so we consist of BMT InfoNet, NBMT Link, Blood Cancer United, which used to be Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, ASTCT, the Scientific Society, NMDP, which used to be the Match, and then we have CTTC, Cellular Therapy and Transplant of Canada. And so we're also planning to expand over into Europe, and that's in the process as well.
Wonderful.
My goal is to be all over the world.
That's a great goal to have.
Thank you.
Now, You'd mentioned something very important. You guys are a nonprofit organization.
Yes, we
so
are.
So you exist through fundraising?
Yes.
Generous donors and such?
We do.
Is there a way, that our listeners, they're interested, they want to contribute, how would they be able to do that?
Absolutely. So if they go to our website, which is www.cowdenfoundation.org, there's a donate button. They can donate that way. They can always reach out to us. And we're working on putting together, ways of having a giving campaign monthly, if that's something that people are able to do. We're always welcoming money.
Yep.
We will.
We'll
accept it.
Okay, so we've spent quite a bit of time talking about GvHD, but you guys also go into the different hematological blood cancers.
Yes.
And like that as a way of education, support, awareness. Let's talk a little bit about that, if you would.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's one of the things, that we're focused on around just blood malignancies and different ways of supporting people who have them, and because there are a lot of them. And so, I think that it's important that people have the resources and the education that they need. And so, if there's a way so that they can get the treatment and the support and don't necessarily have to deal with graft-versus-host disease, then that's the ideal world. And so we try to provide information around that as well. Ultimately, our goal really is strong survivorship and quality of life and living well. You know what I mean? I think
right.
that's, if we can help people live long and happy and live a fulfilled life, I think that's the best thing.
Yeah, and that's really, one of the primary takeaways I got from just doing some little research on the foundation and such is, that a main goal for y'all is, supporting groups to increase the quality of life for patients and their families. And you can do that by going to www.cowdenfoundation.org. Give them a look, see what they're about.
Yeah.
Find out how you can support them, or find out, what information you can get, and to help share the word and raise awareness to the group. Anything else you'd like to talk about? I usually at this point like to ask people, so what is unique about Meredith A. Cowden? How is she, okay, we've heard about the executive director version of you.
Right.
Well, let's get down in the dirt. No.
Yeah, so it's funny, I started out, I went to art school. I started out as an art student, and I honestly, I had the vision in my head when I was 18 years old. I was going to be like a famous artist living in New York with like my gallery and everything like that. And then reality hit, and I was like, I'm not gonna do that. And then I think the thing that, it's actually the kind of the story of how I got to be where I am. But so I studied art, and then like I said, I really love, I'm so interested in people. People are fascinating. We're such interesting creatures, I think. And so then I found an art therapy workshop that I participated in. And so then I was like, this is going to be my career.
Right.
Yeah. And so I started out, I got my master's in counseling and art therapy. And so I did that for a while. And then I worked in community mental health, and I worked with homeless people and people with, severe persistent mental health disorders.
Right.
And, and it's interesting because I was working with this one group of women in the substance use program, and they would come in and they were like, what is this nonsense? And I'd have like markers out and paper and, crayons and stuff.
Right.
And I remember, I'll never forget, this one woman came in, she was like, I hate your class. And I was like, it's not a class, but okay. But luckily, by the end of the whole program, they were like, this is the best. We love this. It's our favorite. And so like ultimately, like somehow I was able to get them interested, but they were like, I don't want to call her like a kindergartner. And, and so like, it was really fun. And so I really like to do creative stuff and like make things and art. Like it's so much fun.
Well, it's interesting because, here we are in booth 511 at Tandem 2026. I don't know if you've noticed, we have Donald Ross.
Yes, I saw.
Goes by the name of Scribe.
Yeah.
He is actually very well-known artist. He does a lot of work at pediatric hospitals.
That's amazing.
And such.
Yeah.
Huge wall murals and like that. Just, bring a smile to the kid's face and the family face and like this. And we've partnered with him, and here at this event, he's doing 3 paintings for us. So on Wednesday, he did a painting of mucorales.
Okay.
Yesterday, he did one on a super CAR T cell.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
And today, he's working on one on aspergillus.
Okay, that's really cool.
Yeah, if you're listening to this live or you're coming by, come by. We can scan your badge. We give away the 3 paintings to whoever's in the hall.
Oh my God, yeah.
And, 1 winner a day for the painting. And as a value-added bonus, we will actually pay for shipping to wherever
That's very generous.
it's going to, so you don't have to try to pack it into your suitcase.
That's amazing.
And such.
Oh wow! Look at the.
That's the CAR T.
That's the CAR. That's what I was gonna ask. That's the super CAR T. That's awesome. That's amazing. Yeah. That's
so
awesome.
as you go on, you want to be an artist and like that.
Yeah.
I'll be happy to introduce you to Scribe.
Please, I would love it. I walked by and I saw him painting something. I was like, "That's cool. I'll have to check that guy out." Yeah.
And maybe, like I said, you do this for another decade or 2, and then you decide, I want to go do something like it.
Yeah.
Well, happy to do that. Well.
Yeah.
Anything else you'd like to say before we wrap up?
I just want to say thank you. This is a
You're
wonderful
very
opportunity. I love
very
it.
welcome. We like getting the word out there. People say, oh, they're doing a podcast at a trade show. They're going to talk about, these are the tests we do, the assays we do.
Yeah.
For us, it's more about awareness.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's, that's the whole thing, right? It's just getting the information out there, and then magic can happen from there.
That's what we're hoping for.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Meredith. Pleasure meeting you.
I appreciate it.
I'll take you over and introduce you to Donald.
Okay, that sounds great.
All right.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Make sure to subscribe to this podcast and follow us on social media to stay up to date on all the latest information. If you want to help spread the word, please give us a 5-star review and tell your friends and colleagues to subscribe too. With over 40 years of diagnostic innovation and specialized expertise in infectious disease, pre- and post-transplant, allergy and immunology testing for immunocompromised and critical patients, Eurofins ViraCore is committed to helping medical professionals, transplant teams, and reference labs get results faster when it matters most. ViraCore is passionate about delivering value to our clients by providing timely, actionable information, never losing sight of the connection between the testing we perform and the patients you serve.